So this is a very non-traditional India Inc. panel, as you can see, from the way they are dressed to the way they are. So this is, we can call it a startup panel. So we'll start with Puneet, Puneet Jaggi of BluSmart. How has the idea of startups really changed over the years? What are your thoughts on that?
First of all, thank you. Thank you for the great honor that we are all here today. When we had started, and actually forget when we had started, when we had imagined ever being a businessman, our idea of a business used to be यार कारखाना होना चाहिए, धुआं निकलना चाहिए, labor होने चाहिए. That's what building a real business looks like. 2010, when we got started, still capital was scarce. There were few people like Anshu here who was taking bets, but that said, the ecosystem around funding of startups was still very basic, very nascent at the time. And at the time, any business which was bootstrapped and profitable on day one, any business that could have started with friends and family savings, that used to be the idea of startup of the country. We were amongst them, right? My father served in the army, बहुत respect, little capital. But so that's why we got into consulting business because वो suitcase लगती है, flight ticket लगती है और आप शुरू कर सकते हो. Fast forward that to today, I think every cafe in Bangalore is spawning startups. Forget Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, Pune, Jaipur, everything is spawning startups. It's a much more tech-enabled ecosystem, whether that be UPI to FASTag to 5G, everywhere India has got a global leadership position. And as a result, there are so many value and so many problems that India is solving for Indians and then for global as well. So I have at least been privy to these 3-4 different, very interesting views of what Karkhana to startup might have meant for different generations, all in the span of last 15 years.
If I had to ask you, what do you think is the charm of starting up? Is it the idea of not having a boss?
For anybody who is married, I don't think that idea stands for too long. But that said, I'll tell you what was it for me, right? I was very fortunate, 2010 I graduated from college. I was very fortunate to get placed in Shell. I'm a chemical engineer by qualification. So Shell was Fortune #1 company of 2010 and I was delighted. Day zero placement, बढ़िया package, Amsterdam भेजने वाले थे training के लिए. So it was amazing. But the good company that Shell is, it said that we are going to give you 100 days, build a hobby, play a sport, pick up something that you're going to enjoy. Because after 100 days, you're going to get stuck in the corporate grind. So तब तक जी लो अपनी जिंदगी. Right? By that time, Anmol, my elder brother, had already started Gensol. तो उसको तो मतलब वो IIT का ठप्पा लगा हुआ, फ्री का लेबर मिल गया 100 दिन के लिए, तो उसने बोला आप जाओ सोलर प्लांट लगाएंगे, आप आंध्र प्रदेश जाओ विजिट के लिए, राजस्थान जाओ विजिट के लिए. Now, by the end of the 100 days, the potential for wealth creation, the potential for knowledge, the potential for exposure was proven hands down so much more, so much better than any job that could ever offer me, that I just couldn't say no to the startup opportunity that was there. Right? So, and Vaiguru Karke, we have been very fortunate that we have been blessed with all three over the period of last 15 years, ups and downs kept apart. But all of this startup story really came to us, and ना तो girlfriend थी, ना उस time बीवी थी, ना बच्चे थे, तो zero risk profile पे चल रहे थे, तो it just panned out very beautifully for us.
Thanks. That's a nice way to put it. I'll come to Anshu Sharma next. You are a co-founder. You are co-founder Magic Pin. Magic Pin is into so many things. You started with something, and then you are into food delivery. Zomato and Swiggy, they are your competition. Zomato is also a shareholder in your company, right? So, why did you start up?
Okay, you said a lot of things. I'll react to that in a bit. Unlike Anmol, I took a long time, 14 years after graduating to start. And my journey was that after graduating, I worked in technology sector. I was working at Motorola, Hughes. These were the names in the technology space which were interesting. Then I felt that there is a limitation to what is being done, so I did an MBA. I went to IIM Ahmedabad, spent 2 years there, joined Bain and Company, a consulting firm. Went to their Boston office. Bain was getting set up in India. Was fortunate to be part of that early team being set up there. Did that for 4 years. Felt that, okay, this is fine, but this is still advisory. I would want to be closer to action, but still don't know what exactly I should do. So you were fortunate that you got to know what you want to do very early. I did not. So I did the next best thing, that I joined Lightspeed Venture Partners. Lightspeed is a venture capital firm. In fact, that's when I had met Anmol. This was in 2010. The idea was that, okay, I don't know what I want to do, but there are people who are so motivated and driven to know what they want to do. Let me come one step closer and be inspired by that. Actually, I was telling one of your colleagues that the first company we invested in from Lightspeed was a company called Indian Energy Exchange. We were the first investor. It's now a large public sector company. But this idea of so much disruption can happen in a large market where technology can play a role. That was always very interesting. I started my journey by being an engineer, working and doing something there, then seeing a lot in Bain and Company, seeing it much more closely at Lightspeed, till the time I felt that some of my colleagues from Bain, right, Dipinder at Zomato and Sahil at Delivery, they went on to start companies and they became big. And I felt that if I don't do it now, then it'll always just stay with me. And we had been looking at a space, which is the Magic Pins business, for a while at Lightspeed, and I went on to start a company in that space. And that's how, at least I got started. Now the thing about getting started is that your time is right and you know when it is right. So there is no objective way to answer. What we did, our thesis at Magic Pin is to say retail in India is a massive market. It's $1 trillion market, growing with India's consumption, and 90% of this market is offline. People go out to consume products, goods, services, right? 10% of it is online, which is e-commerce, now quick commerce, where billions of dollars have gone in. But consumers want to go out, and merchants, and there are millions of these merchants who form the lifeblood of our country, they will not come online to, let's say, do an ad on YouTube or Instagram. And that's where the opportunity is, that we become the gateway, or we bring the local markets alive on the user's smartphone, such that users can see where are the great places that they could go out for a dinner or buying, let's say, apparel or footwear or entertainment. What are the best offers that are running there? That's how we started. And then as we kept graduating, discovery and discounts at those merchants. And performance for merchants, that merchants pay us only when we drive business to them. COVID forced us to build delivery. Because all our going out business just stopped overnight. And that's when our journey around delivery started. Subsequently, we became part of ONDC, which also grew. Zomato has been an investor before delivery became big for us. But food was the first category in delivery, and our business model is all categories for offline. So to that extent, we overlap with Zomato in one area, but our business is more offline than it is online.
Sometimes is it a problem that, Zomato is there and they have their own strategy and you have your own? So, for instance, in quick commerce, how do you, handle the
I think it's very complementary. By the way, Zomato as a company, they are, and free markets are good for everyone. They are very clear believers in that. So are we. I think quick commerce is great for offline retail. A lot of our partners, large apparel stores, food stores, everyone for the longest of times wanted to do delivery, but they were not. Now, everyone is saying that if quick commerce is going to become big, what is my strategy? And when it comes to offline retailers, Magic Pin is the largest player who's enabling offline retailers to come online. So I believe quick commerce will have a very clear role to play in some categories, but in all discovery-oriented categories, it'll always be a hybrid. It'll always be omni-channel. You'll get products delivered, but you'll always go to the store. Not the entire range of discovery in soft categories can be kept inside a dark store. So I think both of these will move forward. The great thing, or the most, the entity that benefits most is the customer. They are being spoiled for choices, right? Faster, better, cheaper. And that's a great thing about startups, right? it improves everyone's quality of life.
Right, thanks. I'll go to Achint now. Achint, CEO of Snapdeal. Looking at our topic of discussion today, New India, the building blocks, how is Snapdeal really contributing to this New India? In what way? And Snapdeal has changed over the years, isn't it?
Yeah, hi everyone, and good to be here. And thanks for inviting me on the panel. I have joined Snapdeal recently, actually, but I've been in e-commerce with 3 different players over the last 7 years. And unlike both the panelists here who have started with something and grown that over years, I think Snapdeal, which used to be really big at some point, has seen the highs and lows. And currently where we are, I'm part of the comeback story, if I may put it that way. And it's a very exciting comeback story, also linked to the question that you asked. If I look at it from 2 perspectives, the customers and the partners, right, of the New India. The customer of New India today, as we see, and I've just come from a long field trip across 7 cities, just meeting a lot of people just to understand what's happening. And these are people who are in the middle and lower income strata, the Bharat consumer, as we call them. And I'm just amazed at the digital democracy that we have achieved in this country. The aspirations were always high. We always knew that. The aspiration of a small town consumer is high. I think that is not a secret to anyone. But I think along with the aspiration, what has happened is the appreciation of digital technology, the appreciation of global trends, and contextualization of those trends to their local context, right? So this customer who's yearning for getting access to some of these, I would say so-called trends, which are normally a metro city generated or a global trend phenomenon, they want that access. And I think for us, the story is very simple. We want to give that access at a very affordable price to this consumer. There is a separate story that is unveiling in India around the upper middle class and the affluent customers migrating upwards, and luxury as a sector really picking up very strongly. I think at the same time, just to also build on what Anshu said, right, the retail market is still largely offline today. It is still largely an unbranded market. And customers care a lot more about quality and look and appeal than they care about brands at scale in this country. I think there is a set of customers who really care about brands, but there is a large share who, for them, the look is the brand. Right? And that is the customer we are going after and providing access and solving the, I would say, the fashion and the style and the lifestyle problems of that customer. On the other side, if I think about the ecosystem, we have a very large number of MSME sellers today who are registered with us. Now, again, there has been a lot of conversation on the MSME sector. The government has done very good work over the last many years in promoting the sector. But when you actually go on the ground and you see how these people have overcome all the bottlenecks that you may think, sitting here in the corporate rooms of lack of education or lack of appreciation for how to use digital technologies, there are close to 57, just to give you an example, right? I went to Surat. There are 57 textile market hubs in Surat. Big buildings, each of them have 100 to 150 shops. In most shops, you will see a QR code, right? Which is, if you are a seller selling on an e-commerce platform, you can just scan that QR code and you can become part of the WhatsApp group of that shop owner. That shop owner is a completely illiterate person, right? He has never shopped online, doesn't even know how to manage accounting, has kept somebody to do that. But he or she is selling a significant amount of their inventory on online channels through this middleman network, right? So how people have overcome the digital divide with access to data, with access to knowledge, and the mobile phone in their hands, I think that has been truly phenomenal. And we see ourselves at the middle of this revolution, if you may put it. Today we have the Indian customer. As a country, we were ranked 122 10 years ago on our daily data consumption. Today, we are number 1 And we are more than US and China combined on a daily basis on data. That to me is an evolution which is once in a lifetime that we are seeing in our lifetime.
Yeah, so Achint, you said that you are part of the comeback story at Snapdeal in its pivoted form right now. So what is the lesson that you've learned from the bigger competition in your space?
I think my founders are the best people to answer that question. I was part of that ecosystem that you call as competition today. But I think truly, when I look at my team and the organization, I see tremendous amount of humility. And to me, that is the biggest lesson that I see as an outsider. I'm still an outsider, trying to be an insider in the company. Just learning from the experiences of what has really worked and where they have really gone wrong. And then being very open-minded and still not being averse to take some bold bets and completely repivot your business when no one believes in you. I think that is something I'm learning as I see a lot of what's happening around.
Puneet, what have you learned from the bigger competitors? What to do and what not to do? The Ubers and Olas of the world.
Sure. So, but before I get into that, just a thought on Achint's journey. Sir, test match में ना second innings में ज़्यादा मज़ा आता है. So I'm pretty damn sure that second innings of Snapdeal is going to be absolutely bombastic. Now, coming to our industry, coming to BluSmart or mobility, you know, Uber has been the global OG, right? Original gangster of mobility. And kudos to them, they created the market. Ola is the Indian OG, right? The first to ever pioneer this model in the country and make Indians comfortable in traveling in stranger cabs online, digitally. We have a challenger in Rapido now, which is gaining market share so fast. I think we learn a ton from each other, but we also depend on each other to create markets, to create industries that have not existed in the past. अगर Uber और Ola नहीं होते तो BluSmart नहीं पैदा होती, right? So there's a ton that we have tried to do for each other. There's a ton that we compete with each other for. अगर अगर Flipkart ने COD pioneer नहीं किया होता तो Snapdeal COD शायद नहीं करता, and I'm not sure, maybe Snapdeal did pioneer it. But so that's something that keeps on happening in our industry. When we came in, what we appreciated is that यार गाड़ियाँ अब सबके पास आ चुकी हैं. The market is already there. Probably 6 lakh or so cabs ply the Indian roads online. However, the dissatisfaction that is there is extremely high and it's a very anxious experience to book a cab. So जब भी अगर आपको सुबह एयरपोर्ट के लिए निकलना है तो आपको 3 बार बुक करना पड़ेगा, पौना घंटा पहले बुक करना पड़ेगा from the time that you want to leave. You'll be happy paying a waiting fee. You will check with the driver 3 times. हाँ भैया मैं कैश भी दे दूंगा, आप बस कैंसिल मत करना, right? All of that you have to do. AC नहीं चलता, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. We just wanted to remove that friction from a driving experience. If you are sitting in a BluSmart cab, you should be assured that गाड़ी आएगी, ड्राइवर पोलाइट होगा, गाड़ी साफ मिलेगी, आप सही समय पे निकलोगे, सही समय पे पहुंचोगे. That's all that we tried to do. I mean, although we are electric and we are extremely proud of it that we pioneered electric mobility in India, but that said, to an average consumer, I think it is the comfort and reliability of BluSmart that attracts them to BluSmart. Electric is a feel-good environment factor that they enjoy as well. So that's what, I mean, thanks to them that we existed in the market in the first place, but that's what we tried to actually pivot ourselves on. And today, when the whole aspiration drive is coming in, the whole premiumization drive is coming in, I think we are making a space for ourselves at the top of the pyramid, right? So we understand that there are use cases in the lives of people that they want zero compromise on. If you're taking your elderly mother to a hospital, you do not want to have a hassle with a cab. If you are wanting to take a flight, a train, wanting to make an important business meeting, you cannot be late for that, or you cannot have any compromise to that. If you just want to show off on a date, you don't want to compromise on that. And that aspirational India likes premium products, and that's the positioning that we are playing in.
Puneet, just to ask you on that, yes, comfort and reliability is there, but what about speed? Most of the time we have to book in advance. We know that it's going to come, most likely, maybe competition may ditch you. But, in the age of quick commerce, shouldn't we have quick cabs, quick rides?
You are 110% right. Our dream is that any metro in the country in 5 minutes at any time of the day, you should be able to get a BluSmart. But when we started, we clearly did not have network effects at our end. When we started, we were 100 cabs, and this became our anchor. Experience became our anchor. So people could either pay by money or people could pay by time. With BluSmart, they decided to pay by time by virtue of getting a better experience. Today, in most parts of Delhi, if not in all parts of Delhi NCR, you are able to get a BluSmart within 20 minutes under Express in almost every time of the day, weekday or weekend. We are very close to achieving that in Bangalore also, and recently we launched Mumbai. So I'm confident that as our fleet size keeps on increasing, we will be able to increasingly meet this promise of instant rides as well. Till then, if anybody has a preference for फटाफट reach करना है एक जगह से दूसरी जगह पे, where you can have 5 minutes waiting, but with somewhat different experience, there are our competitors who are able to meet that requirement better. But if you want to have a peace of mind, then you should try and use BluSmart.
But once you introduce instant rides, will the quality fall then? Will the reliability factor go away?
Ma'am, there's a favorite book of mine called Amp It Up. It's written by Franz Lutman, Snowflake till recently CEO हुआ करता था वो. There's a passage in that line which reads that quality is not a matter of scale. Quality is not a matter of how much time are you going to put in. Quality is a state of mind, right? If you insist on excellence all the time, every place, quality will automatically follow. It's not the scale that kills quality, it's the incumbent feeling that kills quality. As long as, and I was saying this to somebody earlier also, as long as each of my driver partner have my personal phone number, as long as each of my customer can reach out to me on LinkedIn or on social media or otherwise to talk to me and find out that why the cab experience that they booked wasn't optimum and I'm able to react to it in a fast enough time, I will continue to keep on winning the market. So I don't think that there is going to be absolutely any decline of quality, and if it is, this then we are the world's only 4.9 rated mobility app at a mass scale, right? And this is across 130,000 ratings. So जिस दिन हमारी वो राइड रेटिंग 4.9 की 4.8 होती है, BluSmart के 500 लोग ड्राइवर बन के ग्राउंड पे उतर जाते हैं देखने के लिए कि क्वालिटी क्या फट रही है, right? So that's a matter of a culture. We are never going to give up on that.
Thanks. I want to ask all of you about fundraise, funding winter. Is funding winter finally over, or are we still in it? Anshu.
I think capital find its way towards value is being created. That has always been true. There might be some blips of things going up, things going down. But in India, this is, I would say, from a startup perspective, we are in a golden age. The kind of adoption, hunger for technology, and the kind of capability that exists within operators and teams in being able to build those solutions. We heard some of those examples. I have many more of my own. That is unprecedented. And capital is looking for returns. That's the reason why the multiple on India is what it is. So there might be blips of what you might refer to as a funding winter, but India is in a golden age of building value through technology, and funds are looking to invest in such opportunities.
Achint, why don't we have so many unicorns as we did earlier? They are coming a bit slow.
I think, again, it may not be the right reference, if you ask me. We should look at any ecosystem to evolve over the course of a few decades and not just, a couple of years. There was a time globally when funding was easy, the interest rates were low in the US, and everyone was getting as much as possible, right? I think that's a cycle that has changed. the good thing that has happened, and I see that not just from an Indian perspective, I was in Southeast Asia for a few years before this. I think everywhere the conversation on making money in a sustainable manner has gone up multiple notches, which has not just shifted the mindset of the founders, it has shifted the mindset of the operating teams. People who used to get access to easy cash, their way of building business has changed fundamentally. And I've seen it, with a lot of people around me, where the conversation is no longer, can we get some quick bucks out of this or get some quick customer acquisitions, but it's about, what is the long-term value of this customer at the cost we acquired this customer. And that, to me, is a fantastic conversation at the stage of development this country is, where people are now thinking 5-year, 10-year, because they have constraint on cash. And that, I think, is a great motherhood of innovation, if you ask me.
Puneet, how important is it to be a unicorn or decacorn?
Ma'am, so we also have a publicly traded company. So I'll tell you the same answer that I tell our investors who talk about a share price. हमारे कंट्रोल में तो वो है ही नहीं. Share price भूल जाते, धंधे पे concentrate करते हैं. If we are able to build a right business, the narrative will follow. In an up cycle, the shares will go up. In a down cycle, the shares will go down. It's a nature of the industry. And just to zoom out, what is happening really? पिछले 5 साल में interest rates बहुत high थे US में, तो people were finding opportunities outside of the US to invest. I was sitting with Chauhan sir, जो NSE के CEO हैं. His very, very crisp answer of why is it that Indian markets are falling or that FIIs are taking out. यार global interest rates change हुए, emerging market का index funds ने allocation कम कर दिया. And because that has happened, people have taken their money out from India. The public market multiples directly impact the private market multiples. एक तो अगर मैं एक सेठ हूँ, मेरे पास पैसा है 25 करोड़ लगाने के लिए, I will put it in the public market में टाइटन के स्टॉक में लगाऊंगा ना. Why should I try to put it in a startup which is more risky? And second, जो मेरा multiple है BluSmart में, that will get affected by a multiple of a public listed company as well. तो जब वो गिर रही है तो मैं भी गिरता हूँ. Right? So these are all standard things that happen in any market. So every time that we will see a boom, there will be a parallel bust a couple of years down the line. That's just the nature of the industry that is there. So I'm not surprised by that at all. And what is it? Again, I think it comes down to brass tacks. What is brass tacks? Your consumers need to be happy, your suppliers need to be happy, your team needs to be happy. As long as that is happening, you will end up building perseverant businesses that will last generations.
So I think we are reaching the end of the session. Any question from the audience? Maybe one question we can take.
Hello.
Yes, yeah.
Hi. Very interesting conversation. I'm Sébastien Foucault. Actually, I was part of the raise of startups 15 years ago back in Berlin, Germany, with the Rocket Internet teams, etc. And I have a bit of thought-provoking question here, is that most of the business model that you guys are working on and we see rising are basically this leveraging technology and data to intermediate between retail shops and consumers, or delivery people and consumers. And that's the same we've seen elsewhere in the world. What do you think prevents the rise of a generation of truly innovative, in a sense, new types of business model, new types of technology everywhere in the world, in particular in India? Is it lack of ideas, or is it lack of fundings, or the difficulty for investors to trust those very different
right. Anshu, would you like to take that question?
Sure. Actually, contrary to the premise you've said, I think that's happening in India. The pace at which adoption and absorption of technology is happening is just amazing. Whether you look at the retailer in this example of QR code WhatsApp, and I can talk about our retailers, right? A small fashion retailer, he'll click picture of an apparel, we'll clean it up, use GenAI to create a model looking in that way that he's now marketable in a way that he never was. Similarly, on the rider side, their ability in a very efficient way, not just cars, right? Just point-to-point deliveries in a hyper-local way. how that is being managed, the quick commerce revolution that's happening, how the reduction in cost has happened, both in storage as well as in transportation on the last mile by just crunching the density. All of these are very strong examples. Perhaps where India lacks today is building fundamental blocks of science, right? These, like for example, these large language models, etc. But that's fine, as long as we are quick enough to pick those up and figure out how they apply to our context and start to build off that. I think that's a great start, and then further upstream innovation will continue to happen. In the last 10 years, right, if you've been looking at India, just the way this market is thriving, you can think of number of unicorns, but just look at the kind of product capability, technology capability that has come up. This is revolutionary, and I think it'll just accelerate from here onwards. Maybe it'll take some more time for the fundamental blocks of science to start to happen. You need an economy which is more mature and is more settled. We'll get there. What might happen before that is companies getting built out of India with this application start to go out of India and deploy this in more places. I think that might happen sooner. So I think the next decade or the decade after that should see India rise and be able to provide this to not just India, but to the rest of the world as well.
But here
Thank
we're
you.
limited.
That's a very comprehensive answer. We've completely run out of time. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.